singer. He was this sort of happy-go-lucky guy before he ran the gauntlet that this thing is, this Kiss thing.
We got a good thing going on together right now. Hey, Andre the Giant. One motherfucker, two motherfucker, three.
He never really had a frown on his face, always came in with, both fists up, looking at all sort of areas and ready to fight all the way. And I gotta say, sort of the same energy sort of explodes on stage as what we get off stage, but there's another side to Eric that a lot of people don't know about. He's the shit stir of the fucking century, this little guy. See the blonde hair? Fuck that. This is the devil sitting right next to me. He keeps pointing at me.
Yeah. Son of Satan over here.
That's the guy over there.
Bruce tends to be very quiet off stage, and on stage he's the person who I think is always trying hardest to come out of his shell, to kind of go one step further than he has, because when Bruce first joined the band, he kind of looked like a tree playing a guitar, because he stood with his legs together and his guitar was up around his neck like a ukulele. The cool thing now is on stage I can turn around and not know where he's going to be because he's making tracks now.
You could tell that Gene has a lot of he's a very animated person, and obviously he acts that way on stage. He definitely likes to be the center of attention.
No.
And just like he never stops talking when he's off stage, he never stops moving and running around on stage. So I guess there are similar parallels there. And he is crazy, definitely. There's a crazy side to you.
This side.
Yeah. No, I think it's this side.
Basically, Paul, the stage was really made for Paul. Here's a person who pulls out all the stops on stage and becomes completely possessed as a performer. And he does it, I feel he does it very well, and I'm not just saying it because I work with the guy. I think that he's a natural on stage and loves it, where I would be kind of nervous about going out there. He kind of can't wait, or as soon as he's out on the stage, it becomes his playground. There is a big change in Paul once he hits that stage.
I'm a god, but a humble one.
I think one of the highlights of the show was seeing the kind of reaction we get in certain songs from the fans. Certainly, I Just Wanna Forget About You is one where the crowd would get off on saying the F word quite loudly, too. And I think...
we weren't saying fuck.
Oh, no, we weren't.
No.
It was the F word, but we weren't saying.
A really terrific bus driver the last two tours, this guy Bear, big guy, who he was also a pimp for Gene.
Yeah, and for himself.
And for himself, too, we have to say.
Hey, Gene, let's go. He's from Kentucky, so he kind of talks like this. Real swell guy. Let's go get us some pussy, Gene. Let's go.
Paul imitate Bear. Paul do better.
Do you two girls know each other very well? Have you ever done each other?
Exactly.
Say, listen, I traveled with the rock group Kiss.
Southern charm.
And Southern currency,
And
too.
Southern bowl.
Southern currency.
I got this really cool shirt. I looked out in the audience one night, and I saw this guy with my face as big as this shirt in makeup. And I wore it for I don't know how many shows. It was one of my favorite shirts. I like getting that kind of stuff out of the audience, so it was just very cool.
I think what's classic about Gene, and you're traveling on the road, you get into town, and maybe we arrive at 3 in the afternoon to get there right for sound check. Well, we're starving. We want a real meal. We don't want the cereal that's on the bus. And the restaurant's closed. There's only room service. Gene likes to sit down and be served. Some of us sometimes follow him in there. We figure, well, maybe he'll pull his weight around. Right?
Back of him,
And the waiter, they don't want to serve us because the restaurant's closed. And, Gene says a couple intimidating things, and the next thing you know, we're getting service.
I'll blow your fucking place apart.
Right.
Now, what is it, lunch or your hotel about it? Okay, well,
but the problem is that they're probably spitting in the food as it's going along. But we get
that's what makes it. See, you don't know that.
Yeah.
That's the sauce.
Special sauce.
Yeah, special sauce.
And when it comes to dessert,
Sausage.
he says, so do you have any cookies? And they'll usually go, no sir, we have pecan pie and chocolate cake. And, I want some cookies. I'm sorry, sir, we don't have any cookies. Oh, go check in the back, And they're all like, oh. And then finally, sometimes, fortunately, the cook will be a fan or something, or they'll actually go out to the store and get them cookies.
every once in a while, there'd be an interesting fan who would show up backstage to show us how talented she is. This one girl in particular had very large, round, sort of gravity-defying sort of things that were not...
Protruding,
And she was very strong.
This girl was known as the Crusher.
Yeah.
And you will see her. This is not, believe it or not, this is true. This actually happened. This is not trick photography. It is stranger than fiction.
This is one of Paul Stanley's amazing discoveries.
Ready?
My favorite singer. My favorite songwriter. Who is it? Me.
You probably know this one by the beginning. Song's got a beginning where you go, oh yeah! I know that one! Goes like this.
Some of the funny things, there'll be some great nights where sometimes Gene gets so, like, enraptured in what he's doing that he sometimes forgets the lyrics to some of the songs.
Let me go! Those beggars stop the beating of never want to show. Never want to tell the bag of rock and roll, yeah, yeah.
We're real proud of our past. And it's funny because we want to live up to it, but we certainly have no intentions of like living on it. But we're proud of it, and we embrace it, and we like people to see different formations of the band, vintage footage sometimes of the band in the early days. The one thing that's clear when you see vintage footage is that the band has always been committed to giving 100%. There was a time where there weren't many bands who were into that, and I think once an audience saw that somebody was out there who was willing to really bust their asses and give a real show and play their asses off, there was no going back for the audience. I think it elevated what everybody else was doing. And watching the vintage clips is always fun for all of us because it brings back memories, but besides that, it kind of says to us, this is the foundation of who we are. And without that back then, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Most proud of who we are today and who everybody is in the band today. We're also aware that the beginning of the band had a lot to do with who was in the band then, which is why every once in a while we stick in a vintage video to show you who cared about the band back then.
Less than 2 years ago, Kiss came to Detroit, and now they've sold 1 million records. We couldn't have done this without Detroit! We really love you!
Put out vintage stuff. Some people want to see the very earlier stuff, and we like everybody to be kind of like up to date and get little bits and pieces of that stuff. But there's really no plan for us to put out a big catalog of it. It's just little nuggets that we want everybody to get.
Paul said he just got a tape of a lot of vintage stuff, compilation that some fans sent him of all these shows.
When the road crew gets in the morning, they're at the arena, usually around 8 o'clock in the morning. They start setting up the gear. By about 4:30 or 5 o'clock when we show up, they've been up all day, setting up gear, tuning guitars, making sure everything's working. I mean, to watch that stage go up is actually worth getting up in the morning just to spend one day and watch from the time the trucks pull up and all the crew gets off those buses and almost does something. Those guys do something almost instinctively.
They have a real sense of pride, and you can see it. There's a lot of guys that really want to be able to, say at some time, hey, I worked for KISS, and they all have a real sense of pride, and they all go out of their way above and beyond the cause to do a great job for us. So we gotta tip the hat to those guys.
Next question.
What was the question? And what was the question, Pete?
All these questions are...
That's an interesting question.
Can we do a timeout?
Next question. Any interesting questions in that bunch? Another
Yeah,
question?
another question.
That was a great story, you have to admit.
Suck my balls. Next question.
Everyone always usually starts off with very minimal amount of luggage. And if, you always have this attitude, I'm not going to take a lot of extra clothes, and I'm not going to buy any more junk and all this. Before you know it, you can't sleep in your bunk because your bunk is now your storage facility for all the junk that you've collected. Swag that you either collected. I'm a swag king as well.
Explain what swag is.
Swag is T-shirts or merchandise that you can get either from venues,
Anything
bands,
for free.
or basically anything for quotation marks free.
The other great things about Eric Singer being the drummer in KISS is not only is he the free king of the world, but he also acts as my cheerer-upper. When I'm feeling down, I'll hear those wonderful words coming out of Eric's mouth. Here's one for you, G.
Junior Pimp. Paul Stanley gave me the title of Eric Singer, Junior Pimp.
There's one for you, G.
And
He's got the best eyesight of all of us. He can spot a good pair of tits within 1,000 yards of the stage. So he'll walk up to him and go, here's one for you.
Yeah. No, it's usually a little lower. I'm shorter than that, Jim. It's usually like down tugging on you.
Eric's not saying there's a beautiful girl.
No.
What Eric is saying is there is a beast who's just missing a tail.
That's true. I have to say that...
You ever have the Beastmaster? We have the Beast Walker.